I would invite on stage Mr. Ismael Abedin Ingelmo. Ismael is CEO of Takes MID, and he will share with us some learnings from smart cities projects in Asia. We also have a video from Dr. Ali Al-Graiti, who is teacher in architecture, Applied Arts Institute, Middle Technical University in Baghdad. And he will share with us Baghdad towards a zero carbon city. Actually, Dr. Ali Al-Graiti was planning to join us here in Salamanca. He didn't get his visa on time, and he was supposed to be connected here, except that he's using Google platform and we are using Teams. So sorry for this lack of compliance. May I invite also on stage Mr. Mehmet Seyfi Göl, Master Architect, Peace City World. Is the video coming?
Hello.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Al-Graiti, a teacher in the architecture department at Middle Technical University in Baghdad, Iraq. The title of my presentation today is Baghdad towards a zero carbon city. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the climate change globally. Then I will give you a brief on Baghdad city, and then Baghdad and climate change, the CO2 emissions in the city. After that, the reasons, solutions, and conclusions. The global climate change is a result of CO2 emissions which caused from human action. It is agreed that the change in temperatures is caused by the increase of greenhouse gas emissions all over the world. The energy consumption in the building construction sectors accounts about 40% of the total energy consumption in the global, while transportation sector and industry accounting for 30% of the global consumption respectively. It is predicted that the energy demand in all sectors will continue to grow in the coming years, and this is related to the industrial development and the growth of population all over the world. There are many evidence of this phenomena. For example, the increasing temperatures registered in the atmosphere and sea levels have significantly raised. The amount of ice and snow has fallen, drought, fires, and floods in the planet. The climate change in the atmosphere will continue to have massive impacts on the local weather conditions in all countries. This clearly has a highly negative impact on human beings and natural ecosystem. The big five economies are responsible for global warming in the world. The largest emitter with 25% of total emissions is the USA. China, second in the list, accounts for 14% of the total emissions. Countries such as Russia, Germany, UK, and others are also in charge of the increasing of house gas emissions globally. This is currently well known. This is a major concern for governments and the general public. And the radical mitigation or even eradication of CO2 emissions in the immediate coming years is a universal and top priority. The United Nations contractions shows that the reduction of global CO2 emissions before the predicted peak year in 2050 is possible. Now I will talk about Baghdad. Baghdad is the capital of Iraq. The population of the city about 8 million people. The city is established in the 8th century by the Abbasi Caliph Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. The Tigris River divides the city to two parts, Al-Karkh and Al-Rasafa. It is distinguished by its important location, culture, and history, and has many historical monuments, such as Al-Mustansariya School. The climate change affected Baghdad like other cities in the country. For example, you can see on the left The Tigris before 30 years was full with water, but now, under the last 5 years, the Tigris suffers from drought. The farms around the city suffers as well from desertification and high temperatures as well. The rising of temperatures is go every year higher and higher, and sometimes is reached to more than 50 degrees. The thunderstorms hit the city many times, more than 30 times in a year. And in winter, you can see a strange phenomenon, the snow valley, especially for the last 10 years. This figure shows the mean yearly temperature in the city from 1979 to 2021. We can see the temperature is rising year by year. While this figure shows the mean yearly precipitation from 1979 to 2021. And we noticed the last year there is no rains in winter. The CO2 emissions in Baghdad is explained in this figure from 1990 to 2018. And you can see in this diagram the CO2 emissions amount is going sometimes high and low according to the activities inside the city. In 2018 is a count about 5 tons per person. The problem and the reasons of this phenomenon are depending on fuels as a main source of energy supply by the government. Second, the growth of population with a rate of 2% annually, as Baghdad's population will reach 15 million in 2050. Another reason is division of families and homes to many houses. For example, a house with the area of 200 per square meter is divided to 2 or 3 houses. And this added extra pressure on the city infrastructure. This explains the increased use of heating and cooling devices in buildings during the year, and the absence of public transportation, such as buses and trains, and increased the use of private cars with a total of 2 million. That means every 4 people, one of them has a private car. Depending on private generators to supply electricity to citizens. Besides the national grid, the change of land use for open spaces and garden areas, such as public gardens and farms, to investment projects, such as residential towers, mall, commercial buildings, gas stations, and extra. The shrink of green areas within the city, the reduction of gardens in the residential units, and increasing the use of asphalt for the main streets, and the absence of afforestation by replacing sidewalks to service cities. Some solutions to avoid this problem are reduce the use of oil and gas as a main source of energy and replace it with renewable energy instead. Besides, encourage people to add them in homes and buildings to generate electricity instead of private generators. Change the traditional construction market to sustainability to reduce energy consumption in buildings. The rely on public transportation, such as buses, trains, and river transportation through the city, and reducing the amount of private cars to minimum. The use of electric and hybrid cars and raising taxes on them, as well as encouraging people to use bicycles within the city for short distances. Another solution is imposing taxes of the kilocarbon on citizens and stop the exploitation of green areas and farms by the investment projects and reviving them by investing in agriculture, increasing the number of gardens, parks, and green areas inside the city and residential units. Another solution is shading streets and sidewalks by trees to reduce temperatures. And finally, recycling waste and add taxation of it on people. And the conclusions are the weakness of government rule and the absence of a clear plan by the state to address these problems. The lack of interest by the state institutions to the dangers of climate change on the city now and in the future. The absence of government steps to stop the environmental deterioration in the city. The lack of citizen awareness by misusing of land use and public places and encouraging them. Finally, the recommendations are developing a strategic plan by the mayoralty of Baghdad as soon as possible to gradually reduce carbon emissions in the city to achieve a zero carbon level by 2050 and benefit from the experience of developed countries in this site. Second, developing a code for green buildings by the mayoralty of Baghdad and proceeding to implement it before giving any permission to contract any building. Then support the private sector to invest in the field of clean energy and encourage citizens to work in it. Please study the master plan of the city, land uses and transportation net in a way that takes into account the transformation of the city into a clean, green environment. Starting the e-governance program and use digital transformation in government transactions instead of using paper documents. It should be mentioned that I met Mr. Ammar Musa, the mayor of Baghdad. I presented this project to him. He's embarrassed with it, and he started to change the unused areas to green areas and adding trees to the streets. And I hope from the international community and companies to support and help us to achieve our goal and make Baghdad a zero carbon city. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ali Al-Graiti. We wished you could be with us. And we feel like there is a willing from academy, willing from citizen, willing from thought leaders, and also willing from the governors that Baghdad changes and hope it will move to zero carbon, and we would be more than happy to contribute to that. May I invite Mr. Ismael Abedin Ingelmo to share with us learnings from smart cities projects in Asia.
Hi, everybody. So I'm going to talk about several projects in Asia that we do from our company. But first of all, I'm going to do a very quick introduction. Hola. I'm Ismael. I'm from Salamanca. I born like 500 meters from here. But I live in a very small village in Spain, in Salamanca, like 39 kilometers from here, which is like 200 inhabitants. However, I created one company back in 2008. It was based on interior design. And then we started expanding to architecture, urban planning, sustainability. And then we have been working for several clients. Some of them, we will show them. I will show them now. So let's start talking about Salamanca. Like many of you, I mean, some of you, you are from Salamanca. Many of you, you come here. So I will make like very quick introduction. So Salamanca records they're like at least 2,700 years old. And so many different people came to Salamanca. It's not like we have been conquered, let's say, by different people, by Baseos, Betons, Romans, Visigoths, and Muslims. From all that heritage, we keep like many interesting heritage that maybe some of you visited. Like still, we use the same bridge that it was built 2,000 years ago. Why I want to say this is because in Salamanca, we keep the environment very, how to say, like we preserve it very well. And we have very slow but steady development. But what happened? What are the challenges with Salamanca? So we have very, like, as you've been working in Salamanca, you see it's like a very lovely city, it's clean, people is kind, and so on. But we have few challenges. Some of them, they are like the demographics, so people is getting old. Many people, like myself, have to go out of Salamanca to find opportunities. The economic vitality, it's kind of slow. And then there is like environmental and community connectedness. So this is what is happening now in Salamanca, but then peace city world appear, no? Like many of us, we see this in the news, and then many people ask me, what is peace city world? You know, even for me, it's not that easy to define. I mean, we have the organizers. So especially people from Salamanca, they ask me, what is it? So I will say my response on what is it. For me, it's a dream. You know, like for now, we didn't build many things, so it's a dream. But it's not just like an individual dream from a person, it's more like a collective dream. You know, I will have my own dream, this other person have another one. Each of you will have a different dream. So I put few samples about how it will be. This is Salamanca right now. So you see like kind of medieval city, you can see the old bridge. So some of you maybe you might see Salamanca like that. So it's like a green, larger city with a big development, like let's say business as usual, but a bit more greenery, no? We have discussed, well, many of the panelists, they talk about different models of city. So this it will be like one sample, for example, like a green, larger city. Maybe some of you, they will be more risky, and then they will say like, no, I imagine like it's like full of high-rise buildings, there is drones everywhere, there is domes, everything it will be like powered by artificial intelligence. That it will be the dream of another person. Maybe somebody else that is in the education, they will think like, no, I don't want to make such a big development, but we want to be like the best research and science hub in Spain or in Europe or in the world. So there's like as much dreams as people that are here. So why my dream is better than yours, or his dream or her dream? So how do you evaluate which dream is better? You know? So there are different tools. Like at our company, what we do is we use design thinking to evaluate which dream is better. So design thinking is a very simple process, which is, I mean, when I explained this process to my mother, she told me, Dad, I call it to think, you know? So it's just like to think about what you are doing without making a big mistakes. So first you need to understand what happened, you define what is the problem, you make some proposal, you release it, and then you evaluate it, and then you keep doing that. It's not that you do it only one time, you keep doing it even after the building, after the process of the building. Here I explain it a little bit more, but you have to empathize, you need to understand the problem, you define it, then you create an idea, you prototype it, then you test it, you give it to the clients, you make small experiments, and then you implement it. After that, many of the people, they just forget about the projects. What we also try to do is reflect it. So we try to get feedback. Even if we did some project 10 years ago, we try to understand if it's working well, what we did very well, what we did well, what we did like not so well, so we can learn for the next projects. Anyway, I'm gonna show some projects. So like we've been working on. One of the projects, like this is the first one, is some of you are familiar with that. This is NEOM in Saudi Arabia. This we were working in like 2021 before it was released in the media. So they were looking for, we were doing like more like urban street furniture. And I mean, that was the little scope, but then we ended up doing many things. So we applied the design thinking. I'm not gonna explain everything, but at least the main idea. So, a few proposals for this project. In this case, for example, when I talk to any of you like about Saudi Arabia, you might think it's like just a desert. It's like a desert and camels. But there's not only desert and camels. There's many other kind of landscapes. And people don't relate those landscapes to Saudi Arabia. So what we did, we analyzed those landscapes, and we wanted to enhance them. So we understand, like there is this, in this case, it's called the Aqaba. And then it's not desert, it's like start like a very mountainous area. So we integrate our design with the landscape, and we kind of enhance it. It's like how virtual reality, augmented reality will do, but we do it augmented architecture, let's say. So this is, for example, one of the proposals. Other proposal, for example, is like when we were discussing, the line is going to be a very long line, 168 kilometers. So one of the problems, it was like the wind, it will run very fast through in between those walls, because there are 200 meters between them. And then also, you are in a very dry area, and then there's not much water. So it's like, if there is a lot of water passing through, why we don't catch the water and take advantage of that? So what we create is like a system. I mean, these projects, they are a bit conceptual, but it's a system that when the air goes through, then it can captivate the humidity, and then it can release water. So it can cool the environment. Another proposal, for example, for NEOM is we found like very basic necessities, like you need to protect yourself from the rain, from the sun, and then you need energy. So we take the idea from the frogs when they cover themselves in the plants. We understood like the different problems, so water collection, you need shelter, you need light, and with that we develop also some other structures like this. These projects are very conceptual, like NEOM now start to getting built. I'm going to go to some other project more specifically, because maybe you think our company is very conceptual. Okay, this is about the materials, about that project. Let's go to, this is one project that we are currently working on, now it's getting constructed. It's the Tashin Airport in Beijing. It was designed by the Iraqi architect Zaha Hadid. Anybody that is in architecture might know about that. This is built already, and it has an amazing architecture. It's not done by us, it's done by the studio of Zaha Hadid. But what problem did they have? The sitting area, I mean, this is a large-scale interior design. It was very common, and then it doesn't adapt for all the necessities about the people there. So they built this like 4 or 5 years ago. They are not happy. So what we did, first we analyzed. We did an analysis about what happened with the people, what happened when you're in the airport. So we start understanding like the basic problems about the sitting area, you know, like the arms, what happened with your luggage. If you put your luggage, somebody will be near you. If you need to wait for a long time, you don't have a place to wait for a long time. And then like the existing sittings in all the airports, not in all the airports, but in most of the airports in the world, they are quite similar. They are not that comfortable. So for that, what we did is, firstly, we just don't design a new seat or a new beautiful interior. So first, through design thinking, what we did is just we got a different timing for different people. So it's like, how long are you going to be in the airport? 5 minutes, 20, 45, 3 hours? So for different cities, you have different seating arrangements. And to explain it for them, because sometimes they don't understand, we put 3 personas. No? So for example, we put the first person, we call him Alberto. He's rushing, he's a businessman. He doesn't have time to wait. He just go running to the airport, get his ticket, and go to the plane. So for him, we make like the sitting area near the entrance, and he is going to be seated 5-10 minutes, no more. Sing, for example, this is another person. So she's more like a CEO of a media company, and she might take a little bit extra time, but maybe she needs to do some work before sending some emails or do some kind of work before she takes her plane. So we create another sitting for this person. Then we put the third person. This is like a student that she doesn't travel much to like in the airports. So she would like to go earlier, stay there, take her time, drink a coffee, take a selfie, and so on. So for that, for her, we create another sitting area. Then once, this is like what we design. So once we have the interior, then the sittings, they are not randomly placed. So when you know like the sittings here, for example, in this one, they have arms because you are near the entrance. So if people is gonna go fast, they cannot lay down and sleep there. No? Also, you have like a co-working space in the airport. Many of you now, tomorrow, the Congress finished, then you go to Madrid or wherever, whichever airport. Maybe you need a space, but then you don't have a co-working space. It's like, why not to have it in an airport? And then if you miss your flight or you have to wait a long time, at least you need to have like some comfortable area, and especially adding greenery, it will calm, it's proof that you can reduce your stress on that. I'm gonna talk, when this project is finished, then I'm gonna talk about this other project that when we got it, we were doubting if to take it or not. So this is like, they told us to design a zoo with animals and so on. This is in China. Like in Europe, it will be impossible because of the laws protecting the animals. Also, we are like a sustainable studio. We try to protect the environment. And we were concerned, like, if we design a zoo, maybe we are doing something that people won't accept. However, if we don't do it, somebody else will do it. So it's, what can we do? So this is a big development. It's around 5 square kilometers. We didn't do the 5 square kilometers. We only did the zoo, which is the number 13, the corner that you see there. Even if it looks small, this is how it was a few years ago. Now it's finished. So it's 800,000 square meters. They built it within 2 years. That's China. What happened here? We were concerned about the animals because sometimes if you tell somebody, okay, a zoo in China, they will treat the animals very bad. So from our part, it's like, what can we contribute to help everybody, you know? So the animals are happy, the visitors are happy, and the owner of this complex is happy. So our priority was to keep a natural environment and to have happy animals. So slowly, through analyzing like a lot of, like through doing a lot of analysis and proposals and so on, we convinced the owners, like, if you have a zoo, they wanted to have a lot of animals and like very fancy buildings and spend a lot of money in buildings. So then we convinced them that the animals, if you put so many animals in a very small space, people won't be, the animals, they won't be happy. The people, when they visit the animals, they won't be happy. And then they will have to spend a lot of money because animals aren't cheap. So we convinced them to keep large space for each animal. We took the European standards and doubled them or tripled them. So then the animals, they can run freely. And then about the design, we try to interact, like the no design is the best design. So some of our designs, you can see almost any building or anything. So we try to keep it as much natural as possible. So with that, also, we try to push them, and still they're doing it. It's more about the zoo is not only entertainment, so also conservation, research, education, and recreation. So when you go now to this zoo, like you see like the animals, they have big space, the caretakers, they're happy with them, the animals are happy, and then everybody that goes there, they will have a better experience, you know? So rather than see like something, also like people visually, they don't want to see bars because they think like the animal, they are in a jail. So we try to open up as much as possible in that case. And all the materials and everything we try to do as natural as possible, even though it's not the most fancy thing, but it's better for the animals, you know. I don't have much time. This is another project that we are working on in Colombo, in Sri Lanka. So this is a new development. It's around 268 acres. So all this island that you see, it has been built in the last 4 years, before it was water. And in this case, the problem, it was not about the design. Like in other cases, it was more about the design. In here, this project is developed by Chinese people. And they're in Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka, they think the Chinese, they're going to go there, and then they don't have public acceptance, because they say, like, they're going to make business, they're going to make us poor, they're going to give us the bad jobs, and so on. So people, they reject a bit the project. So they call us, and then we didn't do this. I mean, we are doing small designs, but in this case, this is the city that they want to develop. Already the infrastructure is getting there. So what we did like a public competition for students. So we involved all the students from the universities from Sri Lanka, from all the universities, public, private, and then we let them do a competition to design some interactive wall and sculpture in the city before it gets built. Why this was good? Because then they start understanding what is this project about, they learn it, and then they start accepting it. So this was like 2-3 years ago. Already now people is kind of more happy with that. So, in this case, the problem it wasn't like to design a huge building. The problem it was the acceptance, So through design thinking is like how we do it. This is like the renders for the city. And then, I'm talking about design thinking. Many of the people here, or the panelists from these days, they have been talking about sustainability, about Earth. So what happened? What about the Earth? What about sustainability? So I will say, how do we incorporate it? We understand that when we build, we are taking over natural resources from the Earth just to make our buildings, no? This is our traditional way of building up to now. Still, we are reversing that, but still we are in that process. One very important thing that we always do is the difference between growth and development, that many people, like especially in economy, like that kind of concept. Growth is to take resources from Earth, and then we build with that. Development, sometimes you don't need to get resources to make wealth and to create money and jobs and so on. You don't have to destroy everything. How? I mean, what kind of solutions? So we mix the design thinking that I just explained before, and we put circular economy, what is circular economy, no? So the linear economy, the traditional economy is like, I take this bottle of water, the oil need to come from Saudi, then it need to be processed in China, they will make a bottle, I come here, and I drink it, and then I throw it. I mean, it's like such a long way just for me to drink a bottle of water. The recycle is like, I take this bottle and we recycle it. But the circular economy is like, I don't have to take all the time this bottle from nature and throw it into waste the resources. It's just to keep that running into the system without wasting. So then that's what we think that, like how we don't destroy the environment. Then, to conclude, so we have like design thinking, which is the process that we explained to design. The good impact, which is more about circular economy, and also we need to take into consideration the business models and people. Like people want to make money, people want to have jobs, and so on. So in between that, so like our ideal of design, like when we do the projects, is in the middle, with a bit of design thinking, a bit of caring for the Earth, and business model and people. And we don't have much time. I will explain 20 other projects, but I think it's enough for today. And just to conclude, I just want to say the way we shape our cities is the kind of humanity we want to bear. So each of you have a dream. I hope you want to have an amazing humanity for Salamanca and for the other Peace World cities. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ismael. That was great. Thank you for driving our thinking very nicely and very smoothly. May I invite Mr. Mehmet Seyfi Göl, Master Architect at Peace City World, to share with us some of the projects and opportunities.
Thank you. For a few days now, we are discussing about smart cities, whereas we are touching only the static products, such as the form of the units, such as the use of the technology, such as the utilization of the new developments. But on the other hand, the city is creating another important factor. This important factor is not only the economic value that the city is creating, but it is also the social value that it is creating. If we look at the human happiness is derived not only with the satisfaction of the shelters or food or health, but it is also a prime need of humans, which is being social. So the success of a smart city is its ability to give a social platform for the people. Actually, this is the prime concern in developing cities. The city investment, as far as we calculate the feasibility of a city, is a very simple task. You invest something and you expect a higher return. But the higher return from a city is endless because the income, especially for the governments in our existing structure, is the incomes from the gas, incomes from the electricity, incomes from the transportation, incomes from the tourism. So it's a continuous process. So city is not a static form, but it is creation of the energy. If we can create this energy, then it's a successful new smart city. And this is how it will bring the peace. In creation of energy, let's look at the formula Albert Einstein has announced, where energy equals mass times acceleration square. So mass is there because the population is increasing. Nowadays, it is beyond 8 billion. And not only population increase, there is a demand for transportation from one point to another point and settle there and live there. There is a lot of people demanding new lands, new climate conditions to move. So this has to be addressed very carefully. So if the mass is there, the only solution is the acceleration. We have to be careful enough to create our cities in the fastest possible way so that the demand is satisfied. Because without satisfying the demand, if people are continuously looking for living areas, then what we are giving to them will not be sufficient. If you look at the existing cities, they are just gathering of boxes, which they call home, and then these homes are either blocked, put together in the vertical way, which makes a high-rise building, or distributed on the horizontal, which makes a kind of horizontal settlement. But if you are not able to create the liveliness within these units, then you are not creating the happiness. Because human factor is in need of being social. So this is where we have to be very careful. Once we create this social requirement, then the city will pay itself back. So the value that the city is paying is extremely important. We are not only creating economic values, but we are also creating social values when we are making the cities. So, so these social values is extremely important because new developing technologies, information flow technologies, is also supporting this idea. Look at the effect of social media, what is happening. Please imagine what will happen in the coming days or years when there is more frequent relations. Therefore, we have to consider cities as supportive of this social requirement. And in doing that, the existing technologies offering means to handle it in a different manner because we are able now to use artificial intelligence. Sometimes I am hearing that people are underestimating it, but it is not something that could be underestimated. It is derived from the human brain, but at the end of the day, much faster in decision making for humans. So artificial intelligence is going to be extremely important on coming days. And we are now analyzing it with our existing systems of computers, but just in the near future, we are expecting quantum computers, which are going to be extremely faster. And this speed will create the social interaction between the people. So this is why selection of a location for development of the city is also very important. Now we are considering the best land to be selected. Nowadays, in Peace City World, when we are selecting the lands or selecting the locations, we are looking to the land. But in a very, very close future, the cities will take place on the water, or even they are going to take place under the water. We will have spaces on the air. There will be floating spaces. So the expectation from the architecture is not static forms such as blocks made out of concrete, steel, marble, glass, but dynamic forms which are active. Even today, there are buildings which are adapting themselves according to the sun, which are adapting themselves according to the view, so they are dynamic structures. We are using holograms nowadays just to change the impression of the building and create a different space. Unfortunately, most of the architects are still concentrated on the interior space, whereas exterior space is as important as the interior space. So with this in mind, it is very important that we are careful with the selection where we are creating the peace city. As British say, for a successful project, there are three musts. These are location, location, and location. So selection of location becomes a prime factor in creating the cities. And to do that, although we are looking for a teamwork of architects, engineers, software writers, hardware producers, but there is another important factor, which is the politics. Nowadays, the power system in the world is distributed to countries, and the organization managing these countries are the powers which decide or which give the final decision on what to do within this country. So our relation and cooperation with the governments are extremely important. And the effect of the government on the long run has to be considered as an important parameter on our designs. So today I was asked also to give an idea about not only the awarded project to Peace City World, but a few of the projects that we are negotiating or discussing with the governments. One of them is Turkey. In Turkey, there is a special situation. Istanbul is the prime city in Turkey, and Istanbul alone has more than 16 million population. And this population is linearly located along the north of the Marmara region. And there are extreme problems for this dense life of people because, just to give you an example, from Ankara to Istanbul, it takes 4 hours by car. And once you reach Istanbul, going from one district to another district takes another 4 hours. So this is an obvious problem. So what they have done in Turkey is municipalities which are taking place around the Marmara Sea have come together to define a new metropole. And this metropole is not only the Istanbul, which is already existing on the north of the Marmara Sea, but they are going to include also the south of Marmara. I now notice that it is on the screen. So Istanbul, as you see, is going parallel to the sea on the north. And now, because the airport is constructed at the north, Istanbul also extending towards the airport. So on the coming days, south of Marmara Sea will be prime important location for the development of cities. Marmara itself is important because it's a connection between the Aegean Sea and the Black Sea, and all the transportation is going through there. And Istanbul alone is supplying 49% of the economy in Turkey. So Istanbul is almost half, and the other parts of Turkey is almost the other half of the situation. So could we go to other slide, please? Who's organizing it? Here, this one, okay. So now you see, when you look at this situation of Marmara Sea and its extension to the Aegean Sea, Aegean Sea is also an extremely important area for development because there are these islands, all of them which are valuable for development, and on the Greek coast, there are magnificent locations for such developments. So, before going there, let me explain that in Istanbul we have two projects. One of the projects is making a development within the Canal Istanbul project, where they have a location for the smart city. But this Canal Istanbul project is not decided upon yet because there is a conflict between the ruling party and the opposing party. So we are not able to see now the result, so we will have to act accordingly. Besides that smart city in Istanbul, we are also negotiating another land on Trakya region, which might be a potential location for development. This is also on Marmara Sea. And in Istanbul, within this linear connection between Gebze or even Izmit to Istanbul, there are areas which has not been developed either due to ownership patterns or due to political understanding. So one of our projects is there, which we are discussing with the government at the moment. And this project is just this marina, seaside resorts, and a hotel. The location where the hotel is, there is a cliff. So we have treated all the facade of the cliff as an hotel. It's 1,000-bed hotel, a linear construction, going along the marina. And marina is a requirement there because this is an existing demand in Istanbul. And we have a green area going up into the city. And on the shoreline, as you can see, there are villas and high-rise buildings behind the villas. So this is a potential project, together with a housing development which takes place on the east of the location. It is defining almost $2.5 billion investment. So this is another view of the same project from a different angle. I want to refer to this green area on the north, so that this top of the hotel, which will have the restaurants and cafes, is intended to be connected directly to the green area at the back. And as you can see, the distance between the sea and the villas, there is another green belt, so that we are hoping that this green belt will continue up to the city and create a livable area for that. Another project we are working at the moment is this project in Greece. This is, we can call it not a city, but a village, of course. This is a resort where we are trying to develop in Greece. The investment value of the project is around $600 million, and it includes 3 hotels, around 400 villas, and also another marina. And at the back, there are high-rise buildings which are having the view of the old location. So this is just to give you an idea of what we are doing besides that. As we discussed last time, we are discussing projects in Burundi at the moment, which I personally give prime importance because it's a developing country, and the location is just on the center of the East African States Union. So it can be one of the prime locations for the development of the city. and considering the economic level there, it is very important to derive a special project. So what I want to simply say is very easy. We have to develop a social structure, organizations getting together to create the activities, because human mind wants freedom. I mean, what makes people happy is three things, actually. People want to be powerful. You cannot get rid of that. Even if they hide it, they want to be powerful. People are in need of love. They need to be loved and they need to love. And also people use their brains. We are the only creatures that we are confident that our brain is the best. Probably other living creatures have also brain and kind of logic system. But we are more happy when we use our logic. So logic, love, and power is the domains of creation happiness for the people. So when you say power, the power is their security. They have to feel secure. So we have to find all means to make people live securely in their hometowns. And to create the love, we have to know how we are giving them. There is a famous writer, Erich Fromm, who said that love is art of giving. So we have to know what we are giving to the people. So if we can succeed in these parameters, I think we will be successful. And I am confident that there will be a lot of smart city companies who would be doing the same, and approaches could be same. But in our approach, speciality is not on the blocks or bricks or static forms. We are giving importance on the sociability of people and economic return of the project. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mehmet Seyfi Göl. We are reaching the end of the session, so I would start by thanking you for this contribution. And I would invite Mr. John Mavrak and a couple of partners for signing MOUs. May I invite, I would say, yeah, the MOU is with Polian's company and Precog company, Precog Systems. Mr. James King. The next one is going to be.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. Oh, when it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We all a part of God's great big family. And the truth, you know, love is all we need.
Sign the MOU between Big City World and the Iraqi Business Council first. be on stage. Oh, sorry. Mr. James King is yeah. Mr. James King is here. Please. While Mr. James King is signing his MOU, may I ask PCT World team if you are here to join on stage. I see Deborah. I don't see Tim and Donia. Christian.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. Oh, when it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we want to present to you our cosmic vision in Peace City World that we was working on it more than a decade or two. Our cosmic vision is to build in the next 10 years up to 20 economic smart city in the name of Peace City World all over the 5 continents. The vision of Peace City World, we was working on it. It's the right time while the world is fed up, war, blood, and all the ideas that it came only theoretic. But practice on the land, nothing happened. Peace City World would like to participate to the humanity in building cities where the peace starts from the economy. If the country has a strong economy, so then we can have and we can count on having peace. So our idea and our vision, we gathered all this platform where there are international banks, funds, sovereign funds, companies with the technology for smart cities. I think that the last days, it was many presentations for healthcare, for transportation, for everything which is smart to participate in building smart cities where we can develop the economy of these countries all over the 5 continents. Okay? We started by Tunisia. We are working on Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and as well in some African countries as well. Maybe Mr. John, we can help us with the name of the, while he's in charge with these countries. We started the first peace city in Salamanca, which is the first European peace city. And we are as well in negotiation with other countries to start through our platform, Peace City World. So we invite the world to participate with us in this vision that we can participate to help the humanity and countries to develop their economy and to bring the prosperity to these countries by developing their economy. And when you have strong economy, as I said, you can have, and we can talk then on a peace all over the world. Thank you very much. Thank you for the companies and our partners. They believe in us, and they was working with us since years, okay? In this Congress, thanks God that we have already signed more than 20 to 30 new MOUs and contracts and agreements with our new partners. And in our next Congress, inshallah, we will sign more and more. And thank you to everybody who participate with us in this Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Riyad. Thank you, attendees, partners, friends, and global citizens. Peace City World was founded on the principle of equality and justice, and it's really more than a dream, it is a true vision. And the vision is what's missing in the world. We've given up on the dream, we've given up on the vision, and people are hopeless. We're in a world where people accept what is given to them, and we need to do better than that. And so together, if you can imagine what you can do individually, and if you can imagine what you can do with another 10,000 people, and another 100,000 people, and 10 companies, and 100 companies, and 1,000 companies, and 10,000 companies, and imagine building a new city where we bring 10,000 companies to start. How many jobs that creates, how much of an economy that creates, how much wealth that creates, how many good living that creates, because without a job, people can't pay for their housing. They can't afford to eat, they can't afford clothes, they can't afford a car, television, mobile phone, everything we need in modern life. And so we're trying to balance the world, okay? There's too many people falling down here and a very few up here. So if we can bring it like this, and these people are living comfortably, so nobody's hungry, nobody has lack of water, lack of food, lack of housing, lack of a job, okay? You can't survive without a job. So it's just not a matter of building the buildings, it's uniting governments, corporations, and citizens and investors. And if we bring all of this together, we can make the world a better place together. And this is what Peace City World Platform does. We unite everybody, bring everyone together. We come up with a plan. We negotiate with governments. We get partnership with governments. We actually become the partner of the government and actually show governments how they can make more money, that they can give better services without having to charge more in taxes, okay? So we can save people money from paying tax by all of us working together to make a better place. And by doing that, also we have a situation that in the future, we can raise the education level, because it starts with education. And education should be lifetime. And starting here in Salamanca, it's very important education. In Ghana, we're looking at building a new university in Ghana, a peace university, and a peace village, and hopefully a peace city. In Namibia, we're looking at building a sustainable farming village that can feed the whole country and even do export and create jobs for the people there in a clean environment, a same eco-friendly environment to produce quality, non-GM food. And basically, we can create this in multiple countries. Projects we have been negotiating in the last 3 years, like Dr. Riyad had highlighted, are in Turkey, in Istanbul, in Izmit, in Durinja. We're negotiating in Greece. We're speaking to the UK government. We're speaking to redeveloping Ukraine even, believe it or not. Now we're in talks about that because this is something. Their cities are destroyed. Many countries in the world, we've been invited this week to Mexico by the government. We're invited to Iraq. Iraq is in great need of global support. We have Saudi Arabia that has money and they need help also. And it's a good place to invest, and it's a good place to grow your company, and it's a good place to help people and interact with different nationalities, religions, and cultures. And this is what Peace City World does. It brings people together, and starting here in Europe, in Spain, with the first project here where we will launch in Angola. We are working with Chingango Group to develop 2 peace villages, and we're very much looking forward to that. As I say, in Ghana, in Namibia, we're looking at projects across the US, in the South America. We've been to Asia. We're looking at Nepal. We're looking at Korea. We're looking at the Philippines. And so literally we're creating a global platform where people can invest, where people can participate, and where we can all together do good and profit from doing good. Because without profit, there's no incentive. We have to have that little carrot for humans to move. And so what we want to do is make it a profitable venture. Everybody in the world, not just the people in this conference center, every corporation in the world, every individual in the world can invest. Every individual in the world can participate. We want to make peace cities that people want to move to and operate their new business and operate their existing business and open branches. And you heard during this week that there's many, many banks around the world with lots of extra money, that they're looking for mega projects. There aren't that many mega projects. If you look around the world, there aren't that many really, and the ones that there are being done by governments. And those governments are only focusing internally. They're not focusing globally. I think we are the only company that's a private entity that basically is trying to unite the world, to work together, to profit together, and to profit society, and to create peace and economic peace. So we welcome all of you to participate with us. We're looking for more projects. We welcome investment. We welcome participation of corporations, of universities, of organizations, of any type of organization. Because when you look at a city, you look what's in Salamanca now, you look what's in Madrid, you look what's in Baghdad, you look what's in New York. You know, all of that has to go there. When they started Dubai 45 years ago, it was a little seaside fishing village with little huts that were built from the palms, okay? And now look at it. This is vision. We have that vision for the world, and we want you to join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. We are going to have a Peace City World team photo before leaving for lunch. Is that okay? Probably we can stand here, just in front of the screen. Probably ladies more to the middle.
So we all must lend a helping hand. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving. Oh, there's a choice for making.
Thank you very much. Bon appetit. And let's be back at 3 p.m.